Hi, my name is Julia Pearson, and I am with the College of Worcester. And today we will be going over the basics of Google Earth Online. So the first thing we're going to look at is the taskbar. The taskbar is over on the side here, and it has all sorts of super duper helpful tools that you can use when you are creating a Google Earth Online product. So we're going to look in at Alaska as I do this. So over here is where your settings are. This will show what account you are on. It will also show the version, how to get to the help, how to give Google Earth feedback as this is a relatively new software, and your settings. Another option you have is photos. I personally like to keep this off, but if you do turn it on and zoom in, you can see where people have taken photos of specific areas, and you can click on them and take a look at what those photos are. So the next part of the taskbar, I'm just going to go ahead and pop photos off quickly as I don't like to work with it on, is the search bar. So one of the potential things that you can do with the search bar is you can look for specific locations. So if I want to look for Hoonah Island, which is an island in Alaska, I would search for it, click on places, and it will zoom me in to Hoonah Island, which is right here. Right now it's showing me sort of a 3D view, which is super cool as well. And you can see that you can add places that you have searched to a project. The next thing on the taskbar is the Voyager. Voyager is other people's projects that they have put up on Google Earth Online that you can use to see what you want to model your project after. My favorite thing to look in is the Education tab as far as this goes. There's a super cool one, which is James Cook's first voyage to New Zealand, which if you click on it, just as an example, it shows you a full slide. You can hit a button and it will take you on a specific route, and each of the points in this route will show you where they are, which is so neat. The next thing is the I am feeling lucky button, and the I am feeling lucky button I personally don't really use very often, but it is super cool. It will take you to a random location with a photo and will link to some more information about it. This is super neat as far as discovering new places, but isn't very helpful in a research aspect. The next tab is the Projects tab. So this is where I personally spend most of my time. You can see that I have a bunch of files in here already, but you can create a project. Your projects that you create will save into Google Drive. So if you're to create a project, and you can type in example project 1, you can add a description to the project. This can be whatever you want it to be. I'm going to put in that this is an example project. And then you can go in and add features. Creating projects will be automatically saved for you. Some things you can do, you can export it as a KML file so it can be opened in different GIS softwares. Another thing that you can, the next button on the task bar is the map style. Map style is super duper helpful. Let's go back to somewhere I recognize more. Not very used to working out in Europe. you can look at whether it's clean, which as you can see removed the label over here and our border up here. Exploration will show you borders, it will show you labels, it will show you places, so towns or national parks, and if you get close enough, let's go over to Fairbanks, it will also show roads and the names of roads. This can be super helpful if you're working on a smaller scale and you are relatively familiar with the area you are working with. Everything will show you transit, landmarks, all borders, places, bodies of water, everything. This is helpful if you want to or need to know, for example, where airports are, where ferries are, especially if you are planning a visit to any of the locations. The final thing is custom. Custom will allow you to choose what you want on the map. It lets you choose if you just wanted highways or arterial roads, you can choose to label those. But if you want, you can label all roads, which allows you to get a huge amount of detail. The final tool that on the taskbar, we zoom out, is the measure tool. Measure tool is super cool because it allows you to, like it says, measure various locations. So let's say that I wanted to measure the distance as the crow flies from Fairbanks to Ferry. This could be so I can see how big of a cross section to make or any other uses. So you just select your starting point, draw down, Ferry, and it'll tell you the exact distance. This is also super cool if you do want to trace along a road or trace along a river. It does allow you to create various sections, and these can be super short, and you can also edit any of your vertices, which allows you to truly customize what exactly you are measuring. So the next step, we're going to look a little more into creating a project. So in order to create a project, you're going to go into the Projects tab, and you are going to press the Create New Project. I like to create the project in Google Drive because that makes sure that it is backed up somewhere. Obviously, you're also going to want to download it. So let's say we created example project 1 3 minutes ago. So put in the project description. That is editable at any time and will autosave, which is super nice. The next step, which we have, is adding data to our project. So let's say that we want to add the island of Hoonah, for example. One of the ways you can do that is you go to your places search bar, you search a place, you can see Hoonah over here, and you can actually click the little button down here that says Add to Project, and you can select which of your projects to add it to. So this is super cool because it will also allow you to add to KML files that you have uploaded, but for now, we'll be uploading it to example project 1. Save that. So as you can see, it has come up here as a point on our map. We can edit this point by choosing a default size. You can add your own description, images, and videos. You can change the color of your point. So if you wanted to delineate that this point was different than a point that represents, let's say, a specific tree, you can change the color of each of those points, and you can also change the little display that is on those points. For example, you can use an information, a vista, but on top of that, you have countless more icons, and you can even upload your own custom icons, which is super nice. So the next thing you can do is you can create shapes. Or actually, let's go over quickly just how to add points into a project. So in order to add points into a project, you can create a new feature. You can search, you can just add a place mark. So let's say that we are interested in Pleasant Island up here. And in particular, we are interested about this little tiny island on this lake. So if we're interested in this island, we can go in, we can zoom into the specific feature, let's say this point. We can select that location, and let's say island in a lake, in an island, in the ocean. Obviously, you can put whatever you want as your place title, and you can go ahead and save that, and that will show up as island in a lake, in an island, in the ocean, and I misspelled the title of that, so we're going to go, just as an example, you can go and just quickly edit the title. Some more things that you can actually edit is if you realize that your point is slightly off from what your GPS said, and let's say this was, instead of 58.3543944 for your latitude, it was 59. You could go in and add that, and it would adjust your location once the page refreshes. And that allows for a lot of customization, and it allows for a really cool ability to add as many points wherever you want on the map. So the next thing that you can also do is you can add a new feature. You can search to add a place, or if you go here, and these are my KML files. They are files I have uploaded in there. Let's take Alaska Data 2. And this is what I've worked with most recently. You can go ahead and you can add that to pin that, and you can take all of these features and move them over into your project. So if we moved them into the example project, all of these points that are currently showing up as black boxes are available to be put into your project, which is super nice. Another thing, the next part that we're going to look at is let's look at creating shapes. So if you want to, for example, show that your field site is actually over here in Hoonah, and let's say that you are looking at this island specifically. So we're going to go into our example project 1, and when you select it, it will automatically zoom to where your points are. So let's make a new feature. You can select draw line or shape. You select a starting point, and you can just go ahead and trace the island, and let's name this location. This looks like it's called Pitt Island, so let's name it Pitt Island, and we can go ahead and save that. It will create that as a shape. So now when you export your KML file, it will create it as a shape. Something else you can add is you can add full screen slides. Full screen slides are super great because You can add whatever you want to them. It doesn't necessarily have to be associated with a point. So let's just grab a quick image. We're going to grab this one, and then we can add some text to the image to put in our slideshow. Trees can be old. When you preview the presentation, this is the slide that will come up. This is just titled example slide, and what we put in, trees can be old. Super helpful for if you have data you want to show, but you don't have a specific location that it is associated with. Next thing we are going to look at is customization. So obviously I've shown you how you can customize your points, how you can customize your images, but one of the cool things is when you do search something using the search tab, it will automatically come up with data. But let's say you don't want it to come up with the data that was provided by Google, as it did when you had the slide on. What you can do is you can go in and edit. You can choose to not show the Google data, and you can put in whatever you would like. This is Hoonah Island. This is super great if you've searched for a location, that's the location you want it to be at, and you don't want to use the automatic data. It's super great for that. Next thing we're going to look at is measurements. Obviously, I showed very briefly how you can measure using the measurements tab, but something that we can add is we can, for example, choose to measure from there to there. To stop your measurement, you just click on the point again, and you can go in, look at your distance, and you can select the unit it's in. Personally, I'm a big fan of smoots, but would never use it in a scientific sense. It's just super interesting. A super interesting, funny way of measurement. So this distance is 925.31 smoots. You can choose meters, kilometers, miles, inches, feet. Basically, most good measurements in addition to smoots. I'd like to thank Google Earth for making this super awesome product for free and allowing us to use it and use their imagery and use their platform for our slideshow, for our maps. I'd like to thank Dr. Wiles, who's my advisor at the College of Worcester, and I'd also like to thank the College of Worcester for funding me to be able to do these videos. Thank you. Have a great day.